end, I end up in such a dark place and stuff, and I remember sort of like wanting to just end it all, really.
Yeah.
And I made a couple of really serious attempts at the time, but eventually my marriage ended, and I ended up in a little 2-bedroom house which was renting, and I was still working at the time, but my drug using had got worse. It was getting worse and worse as I was going along, and eventually I ended up losing my job, and I lost the house where I was living.
Yeah.
And I'd end up sort of sofa surfing with people.
Yeah.
And then I was left with no alternative then, and I used to sort of wander around the streets. And that came like, started off being the odd night, and then it was like 1 or 2 weeks at a time sort of thing, where I was sort of like going from one place to another. So this is the Wellspring. It's a homeless service in Stockport, and I used to come here, get a shower and stuff like that, get something to eat. It was like sometimes a change of clothing and whatnot, and the staff here were really helpful. There was a nurse on site. There was various different access to service, and they actually helped me at the time get a flat.
So Andrew, did you hang around here when you was homeless?
Yeah, Karen. Yeah, it was like we used to sort of wander around this area, the indoor market, the market area, sort of in and out of the different ginnels and stuff. Sometimes you'd sort of like take a bit of shelter in some of the doorways and stuff. And I had a couple of friends who used to get stuff out of skips and stuff like that. Like there was sort of certain skips in supermarkets where there was bits of waste food thrown out and whatnot. Unfortunately, what did happen at some points was they'd have a thing where they'd cover it in disinfectant, so you couldn't eat it in them, which weren't that good really, to be honest with you.
Not at all. Yeah. No, I can't believe they covered it in disinfectant. Yeah. Terrible.
As I say, I went into the Wellspring and they found a flat for me there. What happened really, Karen, was it very, very quickly that became like a drug using den.
So when did it start changing for you?
My drug worker, right. One of them was a homeless outreach worker who worked with the drugs team at the time. And eventually, because as I say, my mental health was affected that much, Karen, they didn't say to me, right, just come into rehab, Andrew. They had grave concerns that doing work on me could do more harm than good.
Yes.
And for me, it was quite a painful process, really. But
so what happened after rehab?
While I was in rehab, I was living in a supported housing in Levenshulme, a place called Acorn House, and I was there till about September 2007. And then they sort of referred me to a supported housing project, and then from there, my support worker there, she put me on to different housing lists. So when I got put on contact, they sent me an offer for a flat, and the flat was here where I am now, where I'm living now. Yeah. And I remember going to see it, and I looked out the back window, and I could see a canal and everything. It was just like, wow, this is like flipping stuff that dreams are made of, really.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky, Karen. I was really so lucky. I thought, this looks nice, so it's like, and it just kind of looked like I could make it into home for myself. Yeah. So one of the things I did is obviously, because I've sort of like realised pretty soon on, it says without me staying in my recovery, being sober, being clean, that dangerous. So I access things like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, Narcotics Anonymous. It's done. If I don't do that stuff, I'm in danger, really.
Of course, yeah. And our recovery has got to come first and foremost, hasn't it? Because without our recovery, we've got nothing.